We are in the beautiful old town of Kotor. We are staying here for a month in Montenegro, and we have met up with a dear friend of ours who has been visiting us here. We've had a lot of fun together, and we were having a conversation the other night about the differences between traveling by yourself or traveling as a couple or in a group. And so we thought it might be an interesting video to kind of go through those pros and cons and kind of see if we can decide of which one is better. So, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, I'm Chrystine. I'm from Quebec, the French-speaking province of Canada. And on March 2021, I sold my house and got rid of everything. And now I'm traveling around the world for three years.
You've got 3 years on the road.
Yes, I did. Yes, I am. Yes.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. So, we met in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. There was a big group of people and we all met together. I've talked about the Go With Less group on this channel before. If you want to meet people, it is a terrific Facebook group. So Chrystine was the only single person at that meetup. It was all couples.
Is it when we rectify? You're saying single person. I would rather do by solo person. Yeah, I think there's a distinction to make about that.
So let's talk about that because that's also interesting. How do you see the difference between solo travel and single travel?
You know, I think it's fun to find the words that fit the best, but it can have many meanings for any person. But for me, I rather use solo because it's more like a choice to be by myself. I think there are some solo travelers who are solo because they're not in a couple, you know. So I would rather say that they are single because they are looking for, you know, doing it differently. But I am not. This is my choice. So I consider it's more like a solo.
It's so important to get different perspectives because it's just things you wouldn't necessarily think about, but I think that's very valid.
I think so.
So based on our conversations, I have broken this down into 7 different topics, and we're just going to go through each of those topics and talk about the pros and cons of being a solo traveler or a couple traveling together and see which we think is better. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sounds good?
Okay.
I'm ready.
So our first topic is freedom.
Freedom!
Now, I have actually traveled by myself 25 years ago. I went to Southeast Asia, just me in a backpack. He had a job that he couldn't leave. And so I have had a little bit of solo travel, although predominantly we've traveled as a couple. So I would say, I think the solo traveler wins the freedom category.
This one, I think, for me is easy. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
The fact is that you don't make any compromise. You
Yes.
know? So it's a big plus, I think, as a solo. But I would also, nothing is really, you know, black and white.
Agreed.
And, you know, you're solo, but there's, you know, you have that freedom. But I'm just thinking about when I'm doing research, for example, where would I go and where, etc. And I miss having someone, you know, that we can exchange about it. It's a freedom and you make no compromises. But yeah, it's a little bit lonely. So when I'm joining by friends, this is, to me, it's no more freedom, but it is luxury because I don't have to decide anything. You know, just go along and I'm so happy to just say, well, yes, I'm ready when you're ready. We are going where you want to. So this is the little gray zone that I would add.
Yeah, I think there's a gray zone in every category we're going to talk about. It's just sort of the nature of it. But I will say, like, when I traveled by myself, I landed in Bali. My intention was to go to Jakarta and then up to Singapore. But instead, I met a girl in the hostel that I was staying at, and she was going to the next island over, you know, over to Lombok to go to Gili Trawangan. And I was like, that sounds fun. And so I went with her there. And then I met other people there, and they were going on a sailing trip, a 5-day sailing trip from there to Komodo to see the Komodo dragons. And it was like the complete opposite direction of what I had intended to do. But because it was just me, I could be spontaneous and could just do whatever I wanted. I didn't have to check with anybody else. I didn't have to get somebody else's permission. I just was able to do what I wanted.
Yeah,
and I think there is that attractiveness of being a solo traveler where we compromise a lot.
We do, but we're a different situation too because we're traveling with your mother. And so we need to plan far in advance because of that.
Yes.
And if we were traveling as just a couple, we would have even more freedom. So there are degrees there for sure.
I'm not sure if what you're talking about is really the liberty that a solo person has. I think it's more related maybe to how much planning you are doing ahead, either if you're solo or in a couple, you know? But I could be solo and planned all, 3 months ahead and couldn't have that liberty because I planned ahead.
That makes me think like how much of that freedom that I remember was because I was in my young 20s and I was just sort of doing whatever.
Although I know in a few weeks I'm going to be solo for 2 weeks in France. I'm kind of looking forward to the ability to eat what I want and go on a walk when I want, and just little things that I don't have to consult another person about.
Yeah.
I'll be happier when you're back, but I'm kind of looking forward to some of those moments.
Because I think we travel really well together.
Yeah.
Like we're on the same page and like it's not a problem, but there's just something about having that freedom to like do whatever you want at any moment that is very attractive.
Yeah,
I would say.
it is.
Okay, so we didn't really come to a conclusion on that one, but
It all depends.
yeah, it depends. Okay, category number 2, cost. Do you think it is more or less expensive to travel solo versus couple?
Of course, it's more expensive. This one is no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's mostly because of lodging. You are sharing the cost of lodging. And yeah, so this one, I would say you win on that one. There's no way. The thing that are getting better, as I would take the example of cruises. You are, for most cruise line, you're 1 or 2, you have to pay for the room. It's the same price. So if I'm by myself, I will pay twice what each one will pay. So, but there's now more and more that are adapting to that crowd, and they would make some solo cabins, which are smaller. It's not half price yet, but at least you don't have the impression to pay twice the price.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, lodging would be the most expensive. Of course, there's little things that, in some countries, sometimes you will see couple that would share
a meal
because the portions are so big. And yeah, so, but it's little things. At the end, it's transportation and lodging, which is the
transportation
most
for sure too, because if you wanted to take a cab, it would cost you 10 euros. If we wanted to take a cab, it's still the same amount.
Point. I envy you. We were talking yesterday, I think, that I'm doing from Kotor to Dubrovnik by bus, and I told them the price of the ticket, and they said, well, we're 3 of us, so maybe it would be cheaper to take a taxi.
Yes.
I am always looking for cheaper solutions. I don't have alternative.
However, I think sometimes there gets this cost creep that comes in. For 3 people, the taxi's still going to be more expensive than if we took the bus.
Okay.
But since we're traveling with my mom and it's just a lot more luggage and like we've just been taking the easy, convenient route, we get picked up door to door instead of having to, walk half a mile to the bus station. So we're paying for that convenience and we're paying more than we would have.
You have more luggage.
Actually, you read my mind. This is the next topic, is luggage and belongings. So how do you think that affects the solo versus couple with what you carry?
Well, I would like sometimes to say to someone, could you check my luggage while I go to the washroom or whatever. So, and of course, my way of thinking is that I can bring only what I can handle. And in many countries, there's no elevator. You have to take the stairs, and on the plane, you have to put your stuff. So I'm traveling only with a carry-on. And this is not, you know, the choice is also that I have to, more stuff I would have, less freedom I would have, because it's a burden. Everything is about the weight. When I buy something or whatever, it's always about the weight. So little luggage, and yeah, this is a main thing, main preoccupation that maybe between the two of you, you can, you know, do a little bit more.
I picked up her bag the other day and it was not heavy.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
I'm
so
proud of that.
you've packed really well.
Yeah.
I would say for us, there's also that little bit of, you know, if we want to carry some, you know, laundry detergent that we bought and we want to carry it to the next place, it can go in one of our bags, but we both don't have to carry it. And so often with your bag, you fill the space that you have. And so I think we end up carrying a little bit more than we need to carry because we have the space to do it.
And I don't.
Yeah. But then we're just carrying more.
Yeah.
So.
And I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, the next point is safety. Do you feel like there's a difference?
I think so. I think it's not, of course, on this topic, I think the woman, being a woman would be more important than any other topics. So of course, I'm a woman by myself, so it might influence where I will go and feel comfortable to go. And of course, at night, I would maybe be more aware, you know, of the, but honestly, touching wood somewhere, but nothing happened to me bad, but I'm aware and I'm smart, so I don't do any foolish thing. But I think when you're two persons, what do you think? Do you sometimes feel insecure? Or?
Well, I definitely know that I like to go out in the morning to go birding, and I will often pick a park or a nature area that does not have as many people in it. So often I will make sure I go out the first morning with Rob so that I can check out a park, make sure I feel comfortable in that park. And then the rest of the time I can go by myself because I've already had another person to help me vet that area and see if I feel safe in it.
Well, this example
and that is something
very clear.
So for sure, safety in numbers is definitely something that I think is an advantage for my comfort.
Yeah,
I think so.
Just the three of us.
I know. The next one, I called this one growth. And it's just sort of that idea of how much you change as a person traveling, which I think is important for any traveler. I think it happens to all of us, whether we're solo or in a couple, but I think it does happen differently. And again, now we already called out my bias here as comparing when I traveled by myself as a young person as to, you know, now when I've got much more experience, because I do remember that solo travel with a lot of awe and wonder. And, you know, I really consider that's when I became an adult. That's when I grew up and had to rely on myself for the first time. So that might be an age thing more than really that I was by myself, but that's how I've always seen it in my head.
You're talking about grow. And this is the part that I like most about our journey, our lifestyles, is that we learn so much, so much. So growing and learning, I mean, it's both, goes together. And so you learn about yourself a lot because you've never been a nomad before, so you figure out what is comfortable to you or not, etc. You learn about the country where you are. And you learn about the logistic. When you're by yourself, you have no choice to get up, you know, your game, because there's no one else you can depend on with their force or ability. So you're a little bit maybe more challenged to get there. Everything is on your
I will say for sure, because we share the responsibilities in our travel, we have adopted separate duties,
Yeah.
whereas you have to take on every duty. Rob always does airlines. I never do airlines. So really, if I had to book my own air ticket today, I could figure it out, but it would not be easy and quick process as it would be for either of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But you're really good at looking up activities in different places. Like, I never know what we're going to do. I get there and he says, oh, we can go here, or we can go do this. And I'm just sort of along for the ride.
so yes, I do wish I had some more skills that I don't have because I'm not forced to engage in those skills.
So I don't know about your planning, but I think we're mixing maybe two topics that we talked
Yes,
about.
so we're mixing the next topic is roles and responsibilities,
Goes
which you
together.
went perfectly into.
I love to transition.
Yes, so we kind of transitioned there. But I think I mean, we're breaking it up into categories, but really they all do blend together. But for the growth, I think when the two of us are together, it sometimes becomes really easy to stay inside our comfort zone. And so I imagine that where you kind of have to put yourself out there and have those experiences where sometimes we can just be like, we're comfortable, we're familiar, we've got engagement with each other. So if we stay home today and don't do anything, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. But again, this is not a negative thing.
No,
know?
not necessarily.
I like
no.
it.
Yeah.
To get out there. This is part of the experience. So I certainly envy that you have different abilities, different, expertise, so you can balance between the two of you. I feel the responsibility of everything.
Yeah.
Like, maybe one of you don't mind bargaining, which you have to do in some countries.
Neither of us
Neither.
like
No,
that.
it's a bad example. I think nobody likes bargaining, but I mean,
Some people do. Some people do. I do not like
but I
parking.
mean, either I like it or not, I have to do it. It's more like our lifestyle that make us growing in a certain way that we wouldn't expect to grow if we were at home somehow.
Definitely.
So
Just-
either we are a couple or solo. I think
Every
it's
traveler
more
has
depends
growth
on our
for that,
lifestyle
yes.
for that.
Yeah,
We are
I-
forced to grow.
So last night we were walking around town and we knew there was a free concert somewhere. We weren't exactly sure what it was or where it was. But so we're walking around and it's raining. We had looked at a map earlier and we were trying to find it. But you just she would go into shops and say, hey, do you know where this is? I mean, how many people did you talk to?
But I didn't
Like
notice
4
that.
different people.
Yeah.
And Dave and I are just like, my mom's teasing us because she knows we would never ask. And she was delighted that you were going in and just asking directions. And that seems very easy for you.
But I don't know if it's easy, but I'm used to it. Since I'm by myself, and we met a very interesting man at the end that explained to us what the festival was about, and even him said you should not stay here. So,
It ended
it
up,
was helpful.
it was a concert for like first graders. It would have been fun, but then we were also an hour and a half early. But it's, just that difference of you asking directions and us knowing we have enough experience. I trust we're going to figure it out. And so I think it takes us longer sometimes, but between the two of us piecing together the clues, we're pretty good at figuring out where we need to go. We just don't ask for help, so
Yeah, I do.
it's very interesting. Okay, so we kind of talked about roles and responsibilities. Was there anything else?
Oh yeah, so each of you have their own ability or expertise or whatever, and I have to do every duties that there is to do. So because of it, I mean, okay, I cannot do anything. I cannot cook and do the wash at the same time, and you could do those kind of duties in parallel. So I have to do everything, but where I can save a little bit is in my choice of what I'm doing in the logistic or not. So I have decided to let go one of the logistic that a lot of nomads do. It's going with the points of credit cards and the Marriott points and all of that. So I'm just wishing every reservation I'm making that it's the lowest price I could have found.
Of course it is.
That because you know this point, it's valuable. Some people, you know, they have good bargain with that, but just looking at it and searching and, you know, take advantage of every one of them, it's just too much for me.
One
so
more
on that,
thing
I
on
just
your
said,
plate.
okay, I can do so much, but this part I have decided to let go because logistic is such a big thing, you know, in our preparation. So so I had to let go of that. This is one of my tricks, you know, you just have to let go some things.
I think that's also potentially an advantage though, is that like if I'm looking up hotels and you look up hotels and then we have to kind of go through all of them together with each other and go through, and then I pick one and it's my favorite and he picks one and it's his favorite. And we do have to spend time hashing that out and making those compromises where you just get to decide this is the one I want or I don't like this one. So some of that process probably goes faster for you.
Yeah, but again, no gray zone.
Yeah.
Because I miss sometimes to have to debate about it, you know? It's so I miss some point of view for sure because it's always I go along very well with myself, but it has its limits. You know? It's just me. So yeah.
No, I think that's happened too, where we're like looking at a hotel and going through the pictures, and I'll say this one looks great, and then he'll look at it and say, yeah, I don't see an air conditioning in that space. And like, you know, one person just forgets about one of those little things, but another set of eyes might see those problems. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Me either.
The last one, and I think we've kind of covered this in the other ones too, but just kind of talking about overall experience. I think the piece here that really, to me, makes the most resonance, the most impact, is that when I traveled as a solo person, I met a lot of people. Because I was a solo person, people generally would, you know, invite me in to sit with them or talk with them. And I met a lot of really amazing people. Whereas as a couple, there's kind of this wall around us.
Yeah, I would call not wall, but bubble.
Bubble.
So yes, this is a good topic because I certainly think that it's easier when you're by yourself, you're solo. Because there's that bubble. And when you're traveling solo, most solo would be happy to meet anyone. So, you know, so if I meet someone, it will probably be easy, you know, that we choose to go for lunch or whatever because we are by ourselves and we are looking, I think we are more looking for opportunity for socializing. And as a couple, I think you have more opportunities to meet other couples. There's more couple nomads, you know. So that could happen. Just the three of us.
Just the three of us. So I think a lot of those topics kind of blended into each other. I think if it comes down to it, to say which one is better is totally up to you and your situation. I don't think there's a better. Do you think there's a better?
No, it has to be your true self.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a solo traveler, so I choose to do it by myself. This is my choice. This is what I like to do, you know. So, and even then, if a solo traveler is not very choosing it truly, there's many Facebook groups now or whatever where you can choose to meet people along the way and make part of the travel with them. So if you're a solo traveler, if you don't want to be alone, there's always way to find a partner. But yeah, so I think mostly it has to fit with your personality and what you're looking for. I wouldn't change a thing. I think my way is the best.
I'm done.
Whatever your situation is, don't be afraid. If you want to travel by yourself, travel by yourself. If you want to find someone to travel with, find someone to travel with.
Good friends.
As long as you're traveling, that's the important part. So if you enjoyed this video and if you think Chrystine is totally adorable, make sure to hit the like button because we think you're totally adorable.
Thank you.
We love her. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will put another video up if you want to see the interview we did with my mom to see what she thinks about all this traveling. I will put that link right here.